Martin Ilkow. His last name of birth was Ilkovich. The interviewer's name is Hanan Posner. City is Southfield in the state of Michigan in the United States in the English language. The interviewer's name is Hanan, C-H-A-N-A-N, Posner, P-O-S-N-E-R. Today's date is April the 14th, 1996. I'm conducting an interview with Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N, Ilkow, I-L-K-O-W. This interview is being conducted in Siberia.
Ilkow, born Ilkovich.
Could you spell that, please?
I-L-K-O-W.
How do you spell Ilkovich?
Ilkovich, I-L-K-O-V-I-C.
And what was
2,100 Jews in population approximately 25 to 30,000 people.
Could you spell Humenné, please?
H-U-M-E-N-N-E.
What country is that in?
Slovakia.
Did you have any nicknames or other names given to you growing up?
No, I have no nicknames.
A Hebrew name?
Hebrew name is Moshe.
Could you talk a bit about what it was like growing up in Humenné?
In Humenné, I was born there. My parents lived there 3 years. Later, they moved to the city of Snina. Humenné was a very nice city, lots of, about 4 synagogues, and you got a Zionist, communist, you name it, but the most was Zionist people. I belonged to the Brit Trumpeldor there when I was going to school. And when I was going to school, I was going with a train from Snina to Humenné, about 21 kilometers, one to another. And each day I was going there and back. On Saturday, I was staying in Humenné. I joined the Zionist revisionists, the Brit Trumpeldor or Betar, and since that, I remain a loyal member.
How many people were in your family?
In the family, in my immediate family, we were 5 children, and we was living in the same house on Štepanikova ulica 312, and my father was a tinsmith. And my mother had a little store, and she had a textile store, and she was active there. And we have 5 children. My mother had a maid in the house, because we have a cow and chickens, all that stuff, like in a small town. And we was pretty good off till 1930.
What were your parents' names?
My father's name was Kopel Yitzchok Ilkovich, the son of Mordechai. In English, he was Ignaz.
And how about your mother?
My mother was Blanca Chaye Blume, and her father's name was Herman Ilkovich, and she got about 1 brother and about 3 or 4 sisters.
And how about your brothers and sisters? What were their names?
My older sister was Cecilia, or Bathsheba, and she was born in 1913. She was very bright and very beautiful, and she was a very dedicated daughter. My brother was Max Mordechai, and he was not that good in school. He was trying to work with the trade with my father, and my father preferred for me I should go to school. And I did. I was a pretty good student. And my older sister was Pauline, they call her Piri. She was very bright in school. She was very good in algebra. I was very jealous. And my younger sister was the cutest one. Her name was Lulu. She was completely blonde, and the people told me she was a very beautiful girl.
Out of all the people in your family, how many survived?
For my family, for my immediate family survive, I am the only survivor.
How many extended family members did you have?
I have lots of extended family. I have an aunt in Veliki Berezny. I have an uncle in Snina. They have children. The aunt didn't have children. The uncle had 2 children at that time. One all perished. Just one cousin returned, and she came to Israel. She died there a few years ago.
Out of how many total extended aunts, uncles, cousins, how many would you estimate the total?
I estimate altogether must be about 20 people.
Could you talk a little bit about the town of Humenné, what it was like?
Humenné was a beautiful town. I loved the city in which I was born. And I'm even proud now when I talk about it. And the people were very friendly there, and the people were separated by how there were two religious, medium-sized religious or fanatics. You got all of them there. And a beautiful city, the marketplace and Jewish holidays. The Zionist movement was so bright and so dedicated. I was called a fascist because I was Brit Rumperdor. And
What was that?
That was in Humenné when I was going to school.
What was Brit Rumperdor? What
Brit Rumperdor is the betar like Herut now. And when I come in Hungary, when the Hungarian occupied, they called me as I'm a communist. You can imagine how far I was going from fascist to communist.
And what kind of stores did they have in the town?
In the town, the whole business was mostly in Jewish hands. All the kind of businesses they have. All trades, you name it. They have also a marketplace. The Jews, some fanatic Jews used to sell fish for Shabbos. And the woman was mostly there, and the man came over there with that big hat and just looked to take the money away. And the woman was working, but they're most religious people. But other they have businesses, stores, and they was pretty good situated. And the poor was taken care of by the kehillah, by the congregations. Was 4 synagogues. One a main synagogue, beautiful synagogue. When I was going to school and on Shabbos was very cold, I was going to the synagogue to warm up.
Did you have a religious family?
We don't wear, like my father didn't wear a beard or a special hat, but they were strictly religious. Any violation would be physically executed if you are transgress the Shabbat or anything. Very strict.
Could you talk about what a typical Friday night was like?
Friday night, my mother was lighting 7 candles, and when she lighted candles in the small kitchen, I feel that the Shekhinah is there, and I was really a religious-minded boy, good behaving, shy, and I like the Jewish tradition. I love the Jewish tradition. The rabbi was very nice. In the other town, Snina, where we was living later, the rabbi, the Gentiles wanted to spare the rabbi after they took all the Jews away. And the rabbi decided he stays. But the religious Jews said, the rabbi has to come with us. They figured he is such a religious man, he will save them from any evil which will come up in the future. So in the end, the rabbi left. Also with the Jews when they took him away.
Was there a lot of interaction with non-Jewish people? Your family?
With the neighbors, the neighbor boys, they were going to church and they tell me about what the preacher said, that the Jews are communists and so on. And the church was very dedicated against the Jews, and they were mostly sympathizers with the Sudeten Germans in Bohemia, and they tried to discredit the Republic. And there was all Catholics, and he also told me lots of times, showed me booklets that Lenin, mother was a Jewish, and so on, and the Jews are communists, and that's what he heard always in the church. He told me that when we played with him. But I played with him when he was 4 or 5 years old. On the end, when I came home from the war, he said, the people said that he belongs to the Hlinka Guard. So I was very angry. I talked to him. I said, no, I was there in the beginning, but I stepped out. One time I met him in Bratislava, in the capital. I was there, and I see he's coming. So I talked to him. My cousin was a partisan, Ilkow, alive, a third cousin or something. So he told me, bring him to the river, and we will see what we can do. I tried to go with him always to the river, but when I come close to that region, he moved back. Nothing happened. But I don't think he was such an extreme anti-Semite, that my neighbor. I don't think. They probably was excited about, the situation in the beginning, and probably moved out.
Were there anti-Semitic incidences?
It was not in my time. Yeah, one time was something happened. It was sukkahs was, and my father built a sukkah, and he put the walls with tin, white tin. And a boy, when we was Shabbos Friday night, we was eating in the sukkah, a stone hurt up, and I went. I want to catch him, and I couldn't catch him. So my father said, "Leave him alone." And one time my mother was going to, we had water in the house. My father built a new house. He had the water pump in the house. We have water. And my mother, the pump broke, and she went to the well to take water. And a boy threw stones in her. When I was going, my mother said, "See that Scheigetzel there? He's throwing stones in me." And I went and I caught him. And I tried to give him a few that. All the neighbors went out. "Leave him! Leave him!" They were hollering. I would leave him already, but when I leave him, he would throw a stone at me. Thanks God, my father came and what happened? The mother saw all those guys out. So my father said, "What happened?" My father said, "Go home for me." I came home and said that Moshe is not the same. Is not the same as used to be. The situation is not the same. So forget about it. Something happened, you have to just take it by harbor with love.
Could you talk a little bit about what it was like going to school?
In school, we were there. We were separated. The boys with the girls, we were separated.
Is this a public school?
I'm talking about the high school. In public school I finished public school approximately in 1929-30. We had no anti-Semitic incidents. The Jews was respected by authorities. Democracy was nice, but only the taxes, the Jews was burdened with a high taxes, and it's hard to get by as somebody should not go in debt because of the high taxation of the Jews there.
Did you have non-Jewish friends in school?
Only the class. Only the class. The Jews did not associate completely with Gentiles. Just in the class, I talked to them, and I was selling supplies in school in order to make a few bucks. And the teacher, the professor or whatever, came to a Gentile boy and said, "Look, that," like you said, kike here, we said here, different there, "that Jew selling papers, how come you cannot do that?" So anyway, a few weeks later, he brought already papers, all supplies, but lucky the Gentiles didn't want to give him, the rather give for me. So one day he came, he gave me the papers. "Martin, if you have the papers, I don't want to handle it anymore." So anyway, this was the same with the businesses in Slovakia. The Gentiles opened up businesses, but the Gentiles didn't want supply to help out the other Gentiles for jealousy or something. They don't want to actually get ahead, something like that. So the Jews have the businesses most of the time, but there was a few Gentile businesses in towns.
What did your father do?
My father was a tinsmith. He'd make the roofs, gutters, ovens, bathtubs. He was a pretty good professional. Worked hard, hard work. When he had too busy, he hired help.
Did he hire Jewish or non-Jewish help?
Mostly Jewish. He had one non-Jew also in the last days, but I remember. I remember his name even.
What's the name?
Andre.
And what happened when you said you finished public school?
When I finished public school, I went to Velké Berezny to my aunt there, and she didn't have children, so they said they will pay for the schooling, and I will stay and I will live in their house.
Where was this?
In Velké Berezny. That's what I wound up on the end of the time. And I was there 1 year, but in the meantime, I went, after schooling, I went to yeshiva to learn. So anyway, I was there, and they figured, "No, you go to Humenné in school, and we will send you money." So then I come back, and I went to school in Humenné, and I was going with the train from Snina to Humenné, 21 kilometers a day. I used to get up 5 o'clock, and when I want to skip school, I miss the train. My father noticed that you could take the train. I know, I noticed, but just when I have a bad day, I figure I want to skip school. I did that.
What was that like traveling that long distance?
We loved it. We loved it. And I put the tefillin on in the train. All the Jewish boys put on tefillin in the corner, and he was davening there, you know. And I tell one incident something. You know, it was already slack time at that time, after 1930. My father didn't make that good. It was crisis like here, you know, economic crisis. And the marketplace was so much Hazarai, they selling those non-kosher stuff. And I see all those my gentle friends, they go and buy for 1 krone, and they buy it and eat. So I am hungry, and I will go buy. I make 20 steps, I always change my mind. I was afraid of Rabbi Shalom, and I couldn't do it.
You said that there were other friends who also put their tefillin on. So you had friends who were also doing this commute too on the train.
Oh yeah, nobody was skipping the davening in the morning.
But there were friends who also went from Humenné to Snina?
From Snina to Humenné. Humenné was a bigger town. Snina was only 70 population, 70 families only, Jewish families.
And for how long did you go there for?
I was there going for 4 years.
What was that like?
Beautiful, love it. Lots of friends. On Saturday we used to come together, dancing on the place. Got a friend there who have a house, and the house was empty. We used to together there, boys and girls, dancing, talking. All the Zionists mostly, you know, Zionist friends. And it was beautiful, it was lovely. I love it.
And
I have even a girl who is living here in Toronto. She was going with me to school. And the clients invited them for a wedding, Emery Klein, so she was invited too. And we met there, so I told my kids, come here and talk to her. I go away, let her talk to her what kind of boy I were. So I know what she will say, because I was a very good behaving boy and I was a good student. So they got the message, my children.
So how old were you when you finished school?
I finished the school in 1934 in June 15. When my sister Lulu was born, I came home from school. She was born and my father sent me someplace to pick up something. No, but he wanted to get out of the house, so I would not see the scene, you know. So he sent me something. I came back, my older sister stays out. Moishe, you come in, you say Mazel Tov. So Lulu, I look in, a little tiny creature there with eyeglasses there. And she was a beautiful girl, beautiful girl.
What was the house that you lived in like?
In my parents' house, my father was about 8 years older than my mother. And the way my aunt told me, he was engaged to another girl, but on the way to the engagement party, he met my grandpa. My grandpa invited him for a tea. When he saw my mother, he forgot about the other engagement. He married my daughter. So my father was very much in love, and he was so good to my mother that I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry. I loved my mother, but I felt sorry for him. Unusual. Anything which we didn't do for our mother to pick up something or talk back to my mother was a major offense. He was very afraid of my dad for that reason. He have a temper. He hit first, then asked the question. And my mother was entirely the opposite.
What was the actual house like?
You mean the building? The building was a beautiful building built in 1930 when I was bar mitzvah. And after that, the house was finished. We got only the first house in town which we have a pump for water in the house, and in the wall was a kettle. We pumped that water every day. The boys was pumping, my brother. Sometime I was doing that. My mother felt sorry for me, so she said, I pay you 20 cents and let your brother. My mother used to pay me 20 cents for him. So my mother said, I give you the 20, just leave it alone. I was so exhausted. And then you can also pull the water out in the sink, and the water goes out. It was the first in time my father was a little thinking of how to do it, because he did the job himself. He made that sink himself and that pipe out. Everything was unusual, nice house. There was two bedrooms, a kitchen and a hall, and a spice, like called the groceries. But where the spice was, you could put an oven also. So I make the plan. My father make the plan, and then I look for the plan, and I said, Dad, I make other plan, and you like it. So my father said, I put the stamps already, it cost me money. You like it? Do it. If not, leave it. I make the plan, he changed it. He went there, and they changed it for him. And the plan that I made is the same as the rabbi's house was. Our rabbi's house was the same thing, the same plan that I made for my dad's house. And people loved that house. And the roof was made with tin, white tin. Beautiful, beautiful house. Nice windows, big windows, like something like that in the house here. Unusual nice. I love that house. I wanted to take my kids there. When I finally decided I want to go, I heard that the house was demolished. They make the street cross. So I didn't have a chance to show my kids, to show off a little bit.
So what happened after you finished school and you came back home?
After I finished school home, I didn't know what to do. An office job by the government was hard to get. Anti-Semitism started to rise. The authorities hired only non-Jews, only non-Jews. So my brother was talking, Martin, go look for you can learn for a tailor. And I was thinking, maybe yes, maybe no, but I got big hands, I didn't know if I could do it. But in the meantime, we have a Jewish guy, a very religious man, who was going to the town where my aunt was living, and they have a stranger there in the store. And he talked to them, and he tried to tell them that I finished school, that I'm educated, I could run their business better than the guy which they have, a stranger there. He was working so long that my aunt and uncle decided I should come. On March 1935, in March 1935, approximately 15 of the month, I arrived there. I had a very hard year, the first. It was a jealousy between a husband and wife, with my aunt and uncle, who will inherit the fortune. And I was in the middle there. I said, I didn't come inherit. But they were afraid of it, and they were struggling with each other. The man who was working there had to go to the army, and he supposed to go to the army. They talked to me differently. They needed me. The customers know me already. I know arithmetic good. I was handwriting pretty fair, and I could order. I could advise my uncle what to order or not, and my job was secure. And I asked for money. First year they didn't want to pay me. Next year I asked for money. I'm leaving. My dad told me, Dad, Martin, if you have an argument, don't run home. Because my father was there learning the trade, tinsmith trade. So he knows his sister and uncle, how they handle. But they were, at the end, they were very nice to me. I promised them that I will, till I live, I will remember them. So I always say Yiskor for them. In the last Pesach now, I said Yiskor for them.
So what did you do in the store?
In the store, I was running the whole store. I was ordering. Customers come in. I sell them. I offer the merchandise. I put the window in the front of the windows. Business, they call it, in the front of the store you got like a showcase. I put all the merchandise out and everything.
You said before that the anti-Semitism had increased. Had you experienced it directly, or anyone else in your family?
The anti-Semitism experience started when the Germans took the Sudeten. The 1937-38 was big anti-Semitism between the population.
Did anything happen that you saw or experienced?
Yeah, my uncle sold certain merchandise, and he charged something $2 more or so for merchandise. And the guy came went to the police, and the police came over and make a big tralam of it, and they shut down the store for 8 days. I remember I went home to visit my parents for that time. So this was one of it. And then all the people didn't have too much respect for the Jews, less and less and less. And then when the Hungarian came in, was a different story. The Hungarian came in and they went and took merchandise in the store and didn't pay for it. And it came there, I looked at my aunt looks at me and said, they don't pay what we do. So we went to the neighbor and they advised us we can do nothing because she's the head of the police. It will be a smaller one. So then I decided that I will talk to him business. How I can get my sister over the border was a border already between my parents. The distance was between a border. So he advised me I should bring him on secret way. So long I bring him to the town, I not to worry. So I went, I arranged that, and my sister came over there, and I offered him 3,000 pengu. I paid for him. He was very friendly to me. He came over to the store, took merchandise. I didn't pay. Finally, I paid him the money which I offered him. Then he told me, I'm a friend of yours. I tell you something which you should know. We know you are a communist. We got you on the list of 114 communists in town, and you are one of them. After that, I plan to run. I find some guys who are no Jewish communists, and I ask him if they want to go to Russia. Say yes, but you need some money for the guy who will show us the way through the mountains. And we went on August 21. I choose the lucky number 21. On the 23rd of August, we were in Russian hands. We went to the mountains. We were so hungry, so depressed, and on the road we was going by, my girlfriend was living there, which I didn't post my girlfriend over because I was going with girls, not to marry, just, you know. So anyway, she said she goes too. So she went with me, she survived, and she's now in Florida. I met her, I got you my picture of her.
Now, why did they include you on the list of the communists in the first place?
They was secret voting before the Hungarian came in. Normal voting. So they was voting for 114 communists, but they didn't know who the communists were. So they put in names, and they put Jewish names mostly in it, and that's what happened. That's what they probably choose people. Why they choose me, I don't know.
This is the end of tape number 1. Today's date is April 14th. Survivor's name is Martin Ilkow. Mr. Ilkow, there's something I forgot to ask you in the beginning. What's your birth date?
My birthday is April 27, 1917.
And how old are you?
I be on April 27 this month. I be 79 years old.
You were talking before about the list that you were put on for communists.
Yeah, the list was 114 communists. We know, I know approximately how many Jewish communists was there. I would say maybe a dozen. The rest was all Gentile communists. The Jewish communists was all of them hanged. That's what I find out when I came back. I know about 4 of them which were hanged. The rest was run away with me, a few. Not because I was a communist. I just ran because I find out that I'm on the list. Then there is other reason why I was running. They take away all the Jewish business permits, licensed to own a business for the Jews that take away. I find it out that we are on the list, the business will take away. So I figure I have nothing but to lose here. I'm still single. I will run to Russia. To run to Russia, I have to have somebody to go. I don't know how to go. And those people knew it, and they had a guy named Humenné. He come from the village of Bukatsova. We came over there on the 21st of August. We came there approximately about 10 o'clock. We ate a little bread, and we went on the journey over the mountains. We were so hungry, so depressed, but finally on Friday, 12:30, I had a nice watch. I took a look on the watch. I said, 12:30, I arrived to Russia. 12 o'clock, I left on August 21st. Friday, 12:30, I arrived to Russia. And I remember the date when I left, and I remember the date when I was free from a labor camp in Russia.
Did your family know that you were leaving?
My sister was in, when I took over, she knew it. I said goodbye to her. I gave her the money what I have. I take all my rings what I have. I said, we don't need in Russia rings. And I give her the money. And some money I left in an album hidden. I said, I will come back in 1 year, if not in 2 years. If not in 3, but I will come back. I told her, I figured I should not touch it. That film and my suits don't sell. Was I will come back.
Which sister was this?
The sister Cecilia, which I took over, brought over when I talked to that police head. I brought her over. I saved her 4 years of life.
And she had told the family?
She told the family, and I heard from others when I came back that my mother was very depressed. My mother hated the communists. My mother was such